Hi gang, this is Mike G with part 2, and if you haven't watched part 1, it's the video that I'm posting on Mr. GTV on both the YouTube channel and the Facebook channel before this one. I've just been to see my mate George Clayton, who I explained is an old pal of mine who I met through hypnosis, who became a best mate. He was telling me that many years ago that they introduced psychology as a thing, that they never called it psychology, that doctors never recognized it, that it was just like a subject. And then when they started to use psychology and hypnosis for curing people, that the doctors decided we didn't like this, because at one time they used to use chloroform, and this particular hypnotist went over to China, learnt some hypnosis, and came back and was doing operations, possibly mainly dentistry, and more sort of simple operations, not putting people to sleep with chloroform, but putting people to sleep with hypnotherapy, what was called in the day mesmerism. It was Mesmer, the guy, a French guy, who actually came up with this technique of talking people into trance states, and then they used it within medical and dental fraternities. Well, of course, in the day, that put doctors' noses out of joint. In other words, they didn't like it. Also, they weren't able to sell chloroform and other agents, substances for putting people to sleep. So they tried to debunk it and make it taboo, which to a certain extent they did, and it went underground. But what they did was they completely, around about 1920, 1930, tried to control the information, and also the use of, if you like, mindfulness or mental therapies, and so psychotherapy. They started to license it. Probably it would be called regulated, but actually it was actually, as I say, debunked, and they tried to control it. And that's gone on ever since. I mean, these universities basically have an agenda. They teach a subject within certain parameters of information that's deemed acceptable, and we know now that, you know, things that we've known for years, I've got to be careful what I say here, but things that we've known for years are being changed, history's being rewritten, laws of physics, laws of biology, laws of chemistry, laws of pharmacy, it's all being changed. Things that we've known for years about disease and bacteria and viruses, antibiotics, use of vitamins, a whole range of things, that's all being rewritten because there's an agenda. And interestingly enough, George was talking about that today, that, you know, we know that they've used magnetism, magnetic plates in the past to create trance states, to change the biochemistry of the body, the acidity and alkalinity of the body. It's called alchemy. But it was put into the realms of almost like witchcraft, and the church were brought in, church and state, to control it. And this was a conversation that I've had just literally 20 minutes ago with George. Absolutely fascinating. A lot of it I know, but he studied this because it's in his lifetime. George is 80 at the end of the year. A very knowledgeable guy, very interesting guy. Worked for the council as an employee, but got involved in hypnosis because his father was a hypnotist. And as I said in the first video that I made on my drive to see George, he turned up at one of my hypnosis demonstrations in Llandudno some 15 years ago, and we've been good mates and hypnotic colleagues ever since. So I'm going to interview this guy. I'm going to get him to do an interview for Mr. GTV YouTube channel. He's a funny guy. He's got a lot to say. He's a very interesting guy, and it's an absolute blessing that people like that are in my life. And I said in the first video that I produced that we need to talk to people who have got knowledge, that they have a memory of things that, you know, we know that at the moment the agenda in society is to change things. It's to remove this sort of information. You know, basically, you know, when the army goes into certain countries and takes over, they burn the books, they destroy the culture, they go into the churches, they go into the mosques, they go into the temples, they, you know, destroy the artifacts, they take away the heart of the people by destroying knowns and rewriting history. I mean, we know that history is written by the winners, isn't it? You know, the losers are killed and scattered or incarcerated, imprisoned. So the winners write the history books, and so you just get one side of the story. You only have to look at what happened to the Native American Indians. You know, they were characterized as the baddies in cowboys and western films. People don't even play cowboys and Indians anymore. The old John Wayne films, you know, and they turned, if you like, the Sioux Indians and, you know, these different tribes into the baddies. A very similar thing happened in Australia with the Aborigines, the original owners and keepers and custodians of the land with ancient knowledge that's all been destroyed and rewritten and devalued, and they've been turned into the baddies. And it's so unfair, and it's evil, in my opinion. Talking to George this morning, and people like George and people that you know who've got memories of the war and, you know, memories of early manufacturing, maybe early factories, and, you know, early farming, and the way that society used to be during, you know, the Victorian times and after the Victorian times, the early Elizabethan times. Talk to these people. These are the people who have got, when they turn up at Remembrance Day, got loads of medals, lots of stories, and very rarely are they valued and asked to tell their stories. Talk to these people. Get them to share, because they do care, and if you care, you'll get the wisdom and you'll be a better person for it. So be powerful, enjoy your mind, and check back for more from me, Mike G, for free on Mr. GTV. Have a good day. Take care. Love you all.